G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're going to be having a look at the J32B Lancer, and this is a particularly interesting plane. You see, the last video that I did on the J32B, I feel like a lot of people interpreted what I said as giving the J32B a bad rap. It's not bad, by any means. It is certainly a little bit team dependent, and that can be frustrating. However, if you do have a good team, or rather, if you play in a squad, or if you just play extremely well from the start and, don't need to wait at all, or don't need to sit back or defensive fly for a while, you can actually get a lot of work in, and you can get a lot of damage done. The J32B is, some would consider, kind of under tier. It should be 9.3 because it's got basically everything the Hunter has at 9.0, but a little bit more. And to some extent, I would certainly agree. I would also say that I'm not really sure, because I haven't really, I don't think I've flown it enough to have an opinion on that. However, I can definitely talk about the way this plane performs and how you should play it. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. For me, I've always found the best tactic is to somewhat rush, but mostly to keep your speed up. Remember, speed is your life in jets. It is always going to get you out of a situation that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get out of, because you would otherwise have to turn fight or lose energy. Keeping energy in your jets is one of the most important things that you can think of. And we're going to start today with a little bit of a sloppy play. You see, I shouldn't have gone for that MiG. I should have just kept going. And in fact, I should have kept climbing. Because you can see that in this sort of down tier, none of the enemy planes, none of them that I can see at the moment, have an afterburner. The only thing that could be of any threat to me is that 163. And the 163, whilst it doesn't quite have an afterburner, it does have very good high altitude performance. It's got a rocket engine, so, maybe that's like a, I don't know. I don't really want to liken it to an afterburner because it's completely different, but it isn't much of a threat as long as I can keep my speed up. The A5 is a non-issue because it just can't compete with me in a vertical like that. That is one of the beauties of the Lancer. It has more thrust than the MiG-21. That's a lot of thrust, but it's also quite heavy. And so you don't quite get the same performance as you would. It's subsonic. It's not as fast. It certainly doesn't turn as well because it's a heavier airframe. But it is very, very competitive. It just needs some semblance of a team. And this is exactly what I'm going to try and do. You can see MiG-17 has come and surprised me, so I'm going to put the nose down, get some speed, and head back towards my team. Try and thin out the numbers, and hopefully by the time we have thinned out a couple of them, the team has gotten some energy back, and we're starting to gain an energy advantage on our opponents. I can see the Swift there, and keep note of that Swift. He's going to be interesting in the latter half of the game. He has put his nose down, and he is going just for speed. And that's kind of the thing that you should be doing if you've got two 163s on your ass like that. And the Hunter is going to catch him. But I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to try and do my level best. Sometimes you're the one that just has everyone dogpile on you, and there's nothing you can really do about that except rely on your team. And I'm going to try and be that person that comes along and tries to save, tries to do some good work. I'm going to try and go for the Hunter because the Hunter is the bigger threat, but I can see things that are closer, and I'm not really closing the distance, so I need to make use of my time. There is a certain value to time in a War Thunder match, and then I get a missile sent my way. I think it's a missile sent my way, so I turn anyway just to try and avoid it. And that sort of quest of going to save the Swift doesn't really eventuate because I can't. I actually can't with someone chasing me, and at the same time he's dragged things a little bit too far out to the point where I can't really be of use as much to the Swift as I am to the rest of the team here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself into a vertical, go for that little bit of energy, crit the A5, and I'm probably going to wait for that A5 to go and crash. Meanwhile, I see a TU-4, and TU-4s are extremely dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep a missile, and at 1.5 it should get ready, head on its way, at... Are you serious? Are you fucking serious? Critical hit. Not what I wanted, but I don't really have the time to launch a second missile at him. I'm going to send that one for the MiG-15 anyway, and the MiG-15 is going to dodge it, which is, well done to the MiG-15. But now he's put himself in a precarious situation. He's low on energy, and I've got an LA-200 coming in, but I need to also finish off this MiG. What's going to happen first? If the MiG defensive flies to a point where I can't follow, then that's too bad for me. I miss out on a kill, and there we go. I miss out on a kill. The LA-200 is now a bit of a, I got to keep an eye on him, because he is very fast, but he is now being harassed by an A5 Sabre, and that should be the end of it, because LA-200s against A5 Sabres is not very fun. It's not fun, no. But this MiG-15 is also learning that MiG-15 versus Lanson is not very fun either. Maybe the Lanson should go to 9.3. Regardless, MiG-15 Bis goes straight into the vertical, and while he's busy turning around, I'm going to go and try and take out the absolute... I don't know what's going on here. There's just so many teammates that are falling to the enemy onslaught. There's just so many of them. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to try and get this MiG-15 into a bit of a better situation, but the MiG-15 Bis from above has prevented me from doing that. And this is where I find a little bit of issue with the Lancer. It's not massive. Maybe I overblew it in the video that I made previously, but it needs to rely on speed. And when you do that, you need to gain distance. And much like the Swift earlier, I can't really help someone that's gone for distance, especially if it's just going to carry on and on and on. I am, in some cases, a lot better suited to helping out other specific team members in dogfights. And this is where the Lancer shines. It's that type of plane that weaves in and out of dogfights and takes planes that are a little bit lower on energy. It's not one of those planes that you actually dogfight in. I would never dogfight in this plane. It's not wise. However, if you can, always keep energy on your opponents, and the Lancer is very proficient at that. So, it's basically me and this Swift left. It's going to get really hairy, and I want to win this. I really, really want to win this, because at this point in time, I'm still researching the rest of my Swedish planes, and, I still got research to go. So, I'm going to put myself into a horizontal. So, once I've gone and got myself a little bit of speed, what I need to do is go and help this Swift, because now it's two fast boys with lemming trains on them. So what you do is you sort of cut across into each other once, someone takes the guys on someone else's 6, and then you do it the other way around. However, the Hunter on the opposing team has decided to absolutely run for it. Now, the Swift is fast, but the Hunter is faster. And so, if I want to deal with the opponents, the Hunter is probably my biggest threat here. The MiG-17 is good, but on the deck, it's not going to reach its top speed well. It's also not going to be a massive threat to the Swift, because the Swift can outturn it. The Hunter, however, can definitely keep with me on the deck. It'll definitely outrun the Swift. And that is an extremely bad problem, because the moment that I lose my speed, and the moment the Swift loses its speed, we become food for the other, less turning jets. So I'm going to use that radar, keep a bead on him, and there's the TU-4 from before. I'm going to try and keep tabs on him, and try and head back for him once I'm done, but that's not going to happen. Now, this map being Spain, my engine is overheating. You don't normally get this kind of situation in the Lancer, but it does happen on Spain and on Sicily, where the maps are by default hotter. So you've got to be careful of that, and that's something that you've got to be mindful of. The Lancer is one of those planes that is less of that sort of dogfighter, and losing that afterburner, you're gonna need to keep speed somehow, and at altitude it doesn't really help. Anyway, I'm going to prep myself a missile because I know this Hunter is pushing up, and because I'm gaining on him at 600, that means he's doing less than 600. So good luck evading that. There goes another missile. The Swift is going to continue down and straight. So that's probably going to, bring on another lemming train. And that's probably going to help me in finding some opponents to sit behind. MiG-17 decides he wants to go for a cheeky head-on at altitude, so I'm going to give that to him. No dice though, no hits. And I'm going to continue straight. Maybe look for that Tu-4, but the F9F Cougar pops out. This particular guy, I kind of want to get rid of because that will outturn literally everyone. And I get a nice little critical hit on him, which means that it is probably not going to be a massive threat. Anyway, skipping forward, I can't find the Tu-4, so I'm going to head over to the Swift, who has now got an order popped on his head. I need to go and try and save this guy because otherwise I'm going to be just me left. And last time I had just me left and it didn't go very well, so keeping your teammates alive in the Lancet is a big priority. If you can, do that, 100%. The Tu-4, I thought that was going to end the match. It wasn't, and I was wrong. And I spent way too much time chasing down that Tu-4. Regardless, I'm almost there at the MiG-17, and the MiG-15 is on the Swift 6 now. I'm going to try and go for the MiG-17 because he is at a higher altitude, and he's also a bit more of a threat to myself. However, the MiG-15 is probably what is going to end up being the nail in the coffin for the Swift. In retrospect, I should have probably targeted the Panther and the MiG-15, because they were more of a threat, and it turns out this MiG-17 here was the one that ended up taking him out because the MiG-15 got him slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and go for a missile lock. Nope, I'm going to try and get him as he goes for his altitude, as he makes his turn, bleeding a bit of speed. I'm going to keep my speed. Now you can see I prepped a missile just in case, but I don't think I'm going to need it. Am I? There it goes, and it looks good. There we go. Beautiful missile kill. And whilst that is the last of my missiles, I think I used it on a valuable target. I'm going to put myself now into a vertical. I am the last remaining player on my team, and I need to clutch this out if I want to win. I need to take out the Cougar, the MiG-15 BIS, a MiG-17, and a Tu-4. Yeah, I got my work cut out for me. This is going to be a big game, if I can pull this off. If not, well, time to go back to the hangar and start again. But you can see I've put myself here into a vertical. I'm going for that altitude, and the altitude is something that I will need on something that can, do a little bit of damage to me if I'm slow. I'm also starting to run low on fuel, so I have to be careful. And there's the LA-200, which I forgot about. LA-200 is a pretty big target. It's slow, it's fat, but it also retains energy fairly well, and spaded, it's kind of nasty. However, I don't know. I have to stay above these guys, and I have to keep my energy really bad. And that's something that you have to consider. Your energy is extremely important in jets, and in any plane, to be honest. But in the Lancet, you haven't really got anything else. You haven't got turning, you haven't got, low speed, acceleration. I mean, you have got acceleration, but you don't have that turning. And that is extremely important. Something you got to factor in. This MiG-15 here is going for the vertical. He's going to go for that full commit, and so am I. I'm going to get off better. Super risky. LA-200, same thing. Stalls out in front of me, and there goes a quick 2 kills. The MiG-17 now is above me, and I need to retract the air brakes. There we go. I'm not dumb entirely, at least. And the MiG-17 is now behind me. This is kind of bad, because the MiG-17 is very capable. It is a strong 9.0 in terms of its performance. Its guns, however, are a little bit unreliable because they're very low velocity, you don't have much ammo, and it takes a lot of practice to get used to them. So, what I'm going to try and do is take this guy into a vertical because I have a lot of energy built up. Now, the MiG-17 is better at altitude than it is at sea level, relative to things like the Sabre, relative to, things without an afterburner. But in this case, I think I'm going to just be able to escape his sort of clutches. There we go. Bit lost for words there. But now the turns have tabled. I am now behind the MiG-17. And what I need to do now is convert that into a kill. The MiG-17 is stalled out. And am I going to whiff it? Yes, I am. he pulls around just in time, and the Lanson's its poor low-speed maneuverability is kind of what got me there. Now, hopefully, maybe I can get him in a dive. You see, the Lanson is good in a dive, and the MiG-17 compresses in a dive. I don't want to overspeed myself, but I definitely want to try and make sure I can get this kill. Is he going supersonic? Well, supersonic into the ground. Well, that leaves me with the Tu-4. The Tu-4 crashes, and I am on the runway, landed and repairing. Time to take off and kill the last remaining opponents on the enemy team. It's just the Cougar left, and it's going to give me the big fat win, but have a look at the tickets. If one more tick goes, I've lost the match. That's it. We're done. Lost the match on what would have been a clutch, and there it goes. Looks like you can't win them all, ladies and gents. Looks like you can't win them all. There are some games that you just got to take the loss and live with it. And you know what? That's fine. I can take this one. I had a good game, tried my best, and sometimes it just doesn't come to fruition. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.